So, in addition to the other things that we're doing in theory, because we're going to go on and start looking at error checking for part writing and writing for inverted chords, those kind of things, the rest of the stuff in the textbook, we are going to side project something that uses all your connection methods, the skills you got from that, and your ear training, because you're going to be able to sing these lines and to hear them, and you got to place the lyrics and things and the rhythms. And it's going to take an extra thing too, which is you're going to write lyrics for this as well. At least take a stab at it, because in some ways that's the most difficult thing. And it's not just writing the lyrics. When I say ear training skills, we're going to learn how to place them so they're not awkward, so they make sense. But here's step one. You're going to download this piece of music. I've made melody and I've made the bass line as well, which means that the chords are in there. Now remember, in our writing here, everything is in root position. So we're in the key of C. And if you see a C in the bottom, that's a C chord, which is a 1 chord. And if you see an F in the bass line, it's 4 chords, an F chord, and it's all in the key of C. So this is going to be an A minor chord, which is a 6 chord, and then a D chord, which is a 2 chord, and G's, which are 5 chords. Okay? And so I've also given you your first voicing for soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And your job now is primarily to write all the inner voices using formulas. Using formulas, not using something else. There are a couple places where you're going to have to not use a formula and make it work, and I'll point those out, but mostly you're going to use formulas. So you should never be writing something that you don't know what it is. Okay, so here's how this sounds. It's a spirited dotted quarter note equals 76, and it sounds like this. Okay, and just as a bonus, let's use our theory skills for a minute. We have our first phrase starting on the 1 chord and ends on a G chord, so that's a half cadence. We have our next phrase starting on a 4 chord, which is interesting, and then ends on another half cadence. So we don't have a period structure. But then we have the same melody as the beginning start up again here, which should tip your hand. There's a little embellishment there, but otherwise it's very similar, and it ends on a half cadence again, and then it goes and repeats this idea again and is a little different, and then finishes with a perfect authentic cadence. So we have 4 phrases: half cadence, half cadence, half cadence, perfect authentic cadence. Okay, and we have this material at the beginning showing up halfway through again. So this is a parallel, symmetrical, double period. Double period because the first 2 lines is your question or antecedent, ending in a half cadence. Remember, we don't care about this cadence right here. And then the next half, it starts up the same way, so it's parallel, because these are the same. And it ends with an authentic cadence, perfect authentic cadence. So here's the end of my antecedent or question, half cadence. Here is the end of my consequent right there, or answer. And it's 2 phrase sections for each of those, and so it's a double period. All right, let me point out just maybe 2 things to help you. One is that you're going to use connection methods. So from here to here, you're probably going to use move with soprano because it's all the same. But from here to here, you're going to use common tone or not common tone because, well, you're moving by a fourth. And then here you're going to use, depends on how it's set up, might be move with soprano, it might be contrary motion voice exchange, and then you're going to use, again, common tone or non-common tone to get to there. From here, and this is very important, so pay attention, from measure 4 to measure 5, chords move by a third. But this melody does not follow the formula. Okay, this melody should have just moved by step to the A probably, and it doesn't, because the E would hold over and the C somewhere else would hold over. Instead, it jumps up to the C. So in this one spot right here, and where it repeats right down here, you're going to have to not use a formula and get yourself a new chord set up that makes sense, where you have a root and a third and another root somewhere and a fifth, that you can sing easily each of the parts from here to get to there. Okay? And we'll check them, right? So again, right here from measure 4 to 5, and then from 1920 to 21, which is identical. You can't use a formula here because super common tone will not work, because the melody should have stepped to the A instead of skipping to the C. Those darn sopranos. Anyhow, so again, get this set up after you've written your first 4 measures in a way that this is root, third, has another root, another, and a fifth, and the spacing looks good, right? The spacing is good, and connects you in a singable, plausible way from these notes right here, okay? Secondly, the other thing, there are some places where there are some non-chord tones, notably here. Ya da da dee da 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 da. Well, if I'm on an A chord, and I know I am, A minor, because the bass note's the A, okay? This D is not part of the ACE. So here's what I'd like you to do. Ignore this. Pretend it's still another C. Now you're going to leave that there, but you're going to set up your chord here, like that, and then you just repeat it here, even though the soprano has moved to the D. You'll just keep the same notes here. And then when you move to the E, make your choice. Are you doing move with soprano from the C up to the E? If so, move your voices in the same direction. Or are you doing contrary motion voice exchange if your tenor's set up? Like if your tenors were on the E, then they could go E, E, and then jump down to the C. In other words, we just pretend that that's a C right there, and then you're going to do jump from C to E, and whichever method you use. Same thing here. You have a non-chord tone. This is a D chord, DFA. The E's in the middle. You're going to set up your D chord however you got from here to here, because this is a chord of a fourth apart. And then you will pretend that this doesn't exist. You will go from here to there using your connection methods. And then probably you're going to keep this the same here. Or you could try it by keeping these notes there. I think you keep this the same here, except the soprano will have moved. And then you will execute if it moved with soprano or whatever you're going to do there. Okay, so whenever you have a non-chord tone, like there, 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 usually in scale steps, right? There's a non-chord tone right here. So you're going to pretend it doesn't exist. You're going to go chord, move up, pretend that this may be tricky, because maybe your alto will be in the way, but try and make it work. Okay. Other than that, and including with that, you always use formulas. Okay. This is a first draft. Even if the formulas make a clunky sound or something, that's something that we want to react to. In other words, you shouldn't be like stressing out about this. You should just be executing formulas. You should know which formula you're using and know that you're executing it properly. Okay. And then on top of that, you're going to have to start thinking about lyrics. At this step, don't worry about writing lyrics, but you will be helping write lyrics, and I'll give you some prompts for those as well. First, right now, we're going to sketch in the basic 4-part harmony, and then we'll look at mistakes and good things, and then we'll maybe make some customizations and modifications to the formulas if they make musical sense afterwards. Okay, but again, 3 things to do. Fill in all these parts. You're going to have to read the chords from the bass line. Okay, so you're going to using formulas. At the place here between 5 and 6, and it's 21, I think, 18, 19, 20, 20, 21, you've got a place where formula won't work. You take what you have here, you set up good spacing, good doubling, complete chord here, make sure it's singable, and then you just keep going on. And then the third thing, watch out for non-chord tones. Just pretend they don't exist and resolve your chord to the next note in the chord using a connection method that makes sense. That almost happens exclusively during these scalar runs right here. Okay? All right, and good.